I'm going to talk about a Creed fragrance that I don't particularly enjoy, and that is Royal Mayfair.
Wait a minute.
Oh, that was Neroli Sauvage. Damn it. Let's start things off talking about the Creed fragrance I least enjoy. The one I'm not going to recommend you go out and buy. The fragrance I'm talking about is Royal Mayfair. Of the 16 Creed fragrances I own, this is my least favorite. The top notes listed are pine, gin, and lime. But what I smell is a minty eucalyptus with a bit of lime in there, but really, I've heard people compare this to mothballs. I can see the comparison. Overall, it's a unique scent, just something I wouldn't recommend that most men wear. All these fragrances I bought with my own money, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about my favorite Creeds, the ones I think are worth the money, worth the blind buy, which ones I think you should avoid. Guys, find out in today's video. Creed was founded in 1760. They got their first royal commission 21 years later in 1781 when King George III basically had them make this royal English leather fragrance. Segueing into that, I'm going to talk about my other fragrance I'm not a big fan of, and I know this is really going to upset some of you guys, but Royal Oud. So first up, it's a misnamed fragrance because there isn't much oud in this thing. It really has a wood base. It's one of their darker fragrances, and I know it's got its lovers out there, but this is a fragrance I just can't get behind. Top notes are pink pepper, lemon, and bergamot. Middle notes are galbanum, angelica, and cedar. The base notes are sandalwood, oud, and musk. Now let me be clear, I don't hate this fragrance. I think it's a good fragrance, but I do feel it's overrated. So many people have it in their top 5 list. This isn't something that I personally enjoy as much as some of the others, so that's why it's so low on my list. But what I recommend with all of these fragrances, except maybe a few, do not blind buy them. Go in and get a sample of this, try it and wear it, because so many people talk about after you put this on, yes, the opening is going to be heavy with that cedar. They don't really smell the oud, but after 10 to 20 minutes, people talk about this magic. Hasn't happened to me, but it may happen with you, and this may react better with your skin. Now, for those of you guys that know Creed, you know that they're based over in Paris. So why in 1781 were they making fragrances for an English king? Well, that's because they hadn't moved over to Paris. That was 1854 that they moved over to Paris, and all of a sudden they're making fragrances for Napoleon III. They also made fragrances for Emperor Franz Joseph of Austria-Hungary and for the Russian Tsar Nicholas II. Now, at that time, most of the fragrances they made were unisex. And to be honest, even though all of these fragrances, except for Royal Mayfair, that one's a unisex, but most of these here are geared towards men, women can wear these as well. Now, the next fragrance I'm going to be talking about is Neroli Sauvage. And to be honest, I wanted to love this fragrance. Top notes are bergamot and grapefruit. Middle notes are neroli and verbena. The base note is ambergris. Now, when I first smelled this fragrance, and even today, I love the scent. I love the way that this thing smells, but it is gone within 30 minutes. One spray, and yes, I can't detect anything. I have to put on 10 sprays to be able to get about 2 to 3 hours of performance out of this fragrance. And to be honest, that's the one reason I'm ranking this fragrance so low. It's just, it doesn't have any longevity. Coming in at number 13, Original Vetiver. Now, this is a great spring and summer fragrance that I personally enjoy. Top notes are bergamot, ginger, and mandarin orange. Middle notes are Haitian vetiver, sandalwood, and you can barely pick up a bit of iris. Base notes are musk and ambergris. Now, if this was a list of safe, clean, office-friendly fragrances during the summer, this one would definitely be in the top 3. And if you like green, vetiver fragrances, you need to try a sample of this one. That being said, and this applies to all Creed fragrances, it's expensive for what you get. It's hard to justify just for the average guy to go out and buy this fragrance. Coming in at number 12, we've got a simple, beautiful, citrus aromatic known as Royal Water. Top notes, citrus and mint. Middle notes are juniper berry and basil. Base notes are musk and ambergris. Overall, this is a fresh, clean, simple fragrance that definitely smells like it's masculine, yet it's not overly masculine. And that's why I like this fragrance. I personally wear it quite a bit, but I will say, is it worth the price? Is it worth a blind buy? Definitely not. You want to try this one out. For some people, it does not work on their skin chemistry. For mine, it's fine. It lasts above average for Creed fragrances, which in general, they don't last very long. This one does a pretty good job. I get about 4 to 5 hours on my skin with about 3 sprays. Solid fragrance. So with all those nice words, why isn't this one higher on the list? Simply put, it's a bit plain. Again, a solid fragrance, but there's nothing distinctive about it. Coming in at number 11, I've got one of the more recent Creed fragrances. They're woody aromatic known as Viking. Top notes are bergamot, lemon, and pink pepper. Middle notes are mint and Bulgarian rose. At the base, we have lavender, sandalwood, vetiver, and patchouli. Of all the Creed fragrances, this one right here probably gets the most amount of hate, and that's because it was compared to Creed Aventus. It came out right after, and for a lot of people, they were expecting a Creed killer. It's a very different fragrance. I've heard one YouTuber actually say that this is what a rich CEO would wear, and I have to agree. This is like a higher end version of Old Spice. It just smells a lot better than Old Spice, but it's still got that barbershop type of smell. It's a beautiful fragrance, and for that reason, I got to look past the hate, and I am going to recommend this fragrance. If you're in a store and you want to sample something unique, something that's a Creed that most people aren't wearing, this is one you want to check out. Now, gents, have you ever bought an expensive fragrance, worn it, and absolutely nobody notices? Yes, crickets when you wear it. Nobody gave you a compliment. Guys, if that has been you, do me a favor, smash that like button. Believe me, it's happened to all of us. Coming in at number 10 on our list of Creed fragrances, Original Santal. Now, of all my Creed fragrances, this one is definitely the sweetest. I think it's a beautiful fragrance. And in general, I don't like sandalwood-based fragrances. Jupe, yeah, I'll pass on that. I mean, yeah, Jupe is bad. And what's interesting is it reminds me of Jupe, yet it smells amazing. And I will wear this fragrance. Jupe, I will not touch. Now, Jupe's incredibly cheap, synthetic. This makes sandalwood smell good. And that's why I like this fragrance, why it's so high up on the list. Also, with that cinnamon, lavender, and vanilla, this is going to be something the ladies are going to love. Now, I don't recommend a blind buy, but I definitely recommend that you test this fragrance out, especially if you're into sandalwood. If you haven't smelt this scent before, you want to try this. This sets the gold standard for this type of fragrance. Coming in at number 9, we have Silver Mountain Water. Top notes are bergamot and mandarin orange. Middle notes are green tea and black currant. The base notes, galbanum, petitgrain, sandalwood, and musk. Fresh, bright, clean, with just a little bit of a metallic smell to it. Now, some people have compared this to smell like baby powder. I can definitely pick that up, but it's so much fresher and cleaner, and it just really has a nice scent to it. I wouldn't recommend you blind buy. It may be too sweet, too powdery for some, but I would recommend you get a sample and you try this for yourself. This pops up in a lot of people top 5 lists for Creed, and I can see why. Not in my top 5, but definitely a scent worth trying. Coming in at number 8, we've got the woody floral musk known as Millésime Imperial. Top notes are fruit and sea salt. Middle notes are lemon, bergamot, iris, and mandarin orange. At the base, we've got sea notes, woody notes, and musk. So first up, the good. This is a beautiful fragrance. Salty ocean breeze with a bit of cucumber, fruit, yeah, citrus in there. This is just beautiful. You've got to smell it to believe it. Worth getting a sample. Now the not so good. This stuff doesn't last. Some people talk about it lasting 30 minutes. I get a bit more. I get a couple hours out of this, but to be honest, I got to spray on 10 sprays to get 3+ hours. Now the question is this fragrance worth a blind buy? If money is no object, then sure, go grab it. This is a unique scent. It's absolutely beautiful. One of Creed's masterpieces. But if you've got a limited budget, now there's not a whole lot of cheap options out there, but I would say that try it before you spend your money. There are people I know that are really, let's just say, frugal with their money, but they still buy this fragrance because it's worth it. This is their signature scent. It's that beautiful. Coming in at number 7, we have Creed's Himalaya. Top notes, bergamot, grapefruit, lemon. Middle note is sandalwood. Base notes, ambergris, musk, and cedar. Soft, musky, masculine. This smells like you're just walking out of a shower. Now this fragrance right here, I'm probably putting it higher than it should be. In most people's rankings, I just personally love the scent. And for everything I'm talking about here, understand that this is my personal ranking. The ones that I wear, the ones that I really enjoy. This one, for a while, this was my favorite Creed fragrance. I don't know why. Maybe it's the bit of metal. Maybe it's because it was different. Nobody was putting it in their top list. I just loved it. Every time I wore it, I felt clean. I felt healthy. It's just a beautiful fragrance. Longevity is decent. It doesn't have much projection. This is definitely going to be something you want to wear in the warmer times of the year. So the spring and the summer, and definitely a day fragrance. Now, do I recommend a blind buy? The answer is no. Go try it, see if you like it. For a lot of people, this is not going to be one that really moves the needle. For me, it was just something at the time that I bought it, and when I wore it, I just felt really good. So I've got great memories with it, but not everyone's going to have that type of association. Coming in at number 6, I have Creed's Tabarome. Now, one of the interesting things about Creed fragrances is the lore, the stories, the things that Creed doesn't go out and squash it. They just let people talk. So there would be some people that say, hey, this is what Winston Churchill used to wear. No, it was made way after that. But many people say it was inspired by a fragrance. Yes, from Sir Winston Churchill. This is, in my opinion, just a really nice fragrance. I enjoy this fragrance, and I like it because it mixes and changes up a lot of the Creeds. I own quite a few tobacco fragrances, and this one is really easy to wear. Now, the top notes are bergamot and tangerine. The middle note, which is pretty dominant throughout the fragrance, is ginger. At the base, we've got tobacco mixed in with sandalwood, ambergris, leather, and patchouli. All right, Jen, so I have to admit, I'm a bit biased on this fragrance. Being a World War II buff, loving all the stories of Winston Churchill, how he united the English people to fight off the Germans in the Battle of Britain and all those stories. Do I recommend that you go out and blind buy it? No, I do not. Recommend you try it. You see if this is something, it's a unique fragrance. I don't really have anything else in my collection like this. And for that reason, I think it should be in every collector's collection. But for the average guy, this is probably not going to be high on your list, but I'm putting it here because I personally love it. Now, really quick, gents, if you're watching today's video, you're in the fragrances. You understand the power of smelling good. But do you fully understand the power of how fragrance can transform the way that you're focusing in at work, the way that you could possibly overcome anxiety by wearing the right fragrance, conditioning yourself to feel better when you put on certain scents? If you want to get a leg up on your competition, if you simply want to get the most out of your day, the most out of your body, you want to check out what we're doing over at Mission Fragrances. I'm putting the link down in the description of today's video. Go over to the website, learn more, and sign up for our early bird list. And guys, this early bird list is important because I'm emailing the guys on it, asking for feedback, and also they're going to get the best deal. They're going to get some limited bonuses. So if you're not on that early bird list over at Mission Fragrances, click on that link and go join it. Seriously, gents, this is a passion project of mine, and I'm excited to have you on this journey. So if you want to learn more about Mission Fragrances, how we're going to transform the fragrance world by focusing on the science of scent, check us out down in the description. That link is going to take you over to Mission Fragrances and you can sign up for the early bird list. And with that being said, let's get back to the countdown. Coming in at number 5, we've got the most popular Creed fragrance on the market. In fact, if you say that you're wearing Creed, what you're probably referring to is Aventus. So this fragrance, believe it or not, just came out in 2010. And this has become the king of fragrances. How has it done that? Well, a lot of it is smart marketing, but it's also just a beautiful fragrance. Top notes are pineapple, bergamot, blackcurrant, and apple. Middle notes are birch, patchouli, Moroccan jasmine, and rose. The base notes, oak moss, musk, ambergris, and vanilla. Now the question a lot of guys ask is it worth the money? And my answer is yes. This is a fragrance, it's my first expensive fragrance I ever bought. I bought it, spent over $300 on this bottle, and it is something that I've really enjoyed. Actually, not this bottle. This is the second bottle. I've gone through an entire bottle because it used to be my go-to fragrance. It was the first one that I spent that much money on, and there is an effect when you spend money on something and you save up for it, and I'd smelt it before. I'd actually worn it for a friend's fragrance, and I knew what I was getting, so I didn't just blind buy. Although if you are blind buying an expensive fragrance, this is probably a good one to do because it just smells amazing. But you may be saying, hey, there are some cheaper alternative options out there. I can go get Mont Blanc's Explorer. We've got Club de Nuit Intense. Both of these smell very similar, but they don't smell the same. I do recommend that if you are on a budget, maybe you get a smaller sample of this and you try it. You wear it, and then maybe buy a full bottle of this, or better yet, buy this right here because it lasts longer than the original. But here's the thing, you will always know that it is not the real deal. And so I do recommend whenever you're choosing a fragrance, and the beauty of expensive fragrances is that you do have to be a bit more discerning. You have to be a bit more careful with your money. You have to really ask yourself, am I getting what I want? And I do think that whenever you spend that money, you save up and you get what you want, you just simply feel better. There is a psychological effect here. It's a real thing, and I've got the studies. Just reach out to me if you want that stuff. But point being is this is a beautiful fragrance. I've got it on this list. I do have other ones that I enjoy more, but this is the one that got me into the Creed line, and just is a beautiful fragrance. Highly recommend. Coming in at number 4, we've got Virgin Island Water. And I know that this one is not the most versatile Creed. This is going to be more of a summer scent, but this just reminds me of my time in Hawaii, in Puerto Rico. When I smell this fragrance, it takes me back. And for that reason, I simply put it high on the list because it reminds me of just great times with my family and friends on vacation. This is just a beautiful scent. If you've ever been to the Caribbean, ever been to an island and drank from a coconut, been on vacation, this is going to take you back. Fragrances are very personal, guys. This is my list. Those of you guys that just don't like the Caribbean, you've like, I never want to go back to that place. You're not going to like this. If you don't like coconut, you don't even want to consider this fragrance. Definitely don't blind buy, but it is one worth smelling. If you've traveled, if you enjoy the beach, then this is one that you should have in your collection. Coming in at number 3, and this one's going to be a little bit controversial, Aventus Cologne. Top notes are mandarin orange, pink pepper, and ginger. Middle notes are vetiver, patchouli, and sandalwood. Base notes are musk, tonka bean, birch, and styrax. Now to be clear, Aventus Cologne is not a lighter version of Creed Aventus. It's a different fragrance. It is probably maybe half Creed Aventus. The DNA is there, but what you smell is a bit more citrus. This is lighter. This is a fresher DNA. This is, in my opinion, one of the most perfect summer fragrances out there. It does actually have a bit of longevity to it, so I like that. I get about 6 hours when I spray this on my skin. It's a beautiful fragrance, and for that reason, rating it on that, I gotta put it higher than the original. Now, would I recommend a blind buy? The answer is yes, especially if you already like Creed Aventus. If you own a bottle of Creed Aventus, this is gonna be a great rotation. It's not gonna go too far away. This one I would recommend more in the warmer weather. Yeah, this one, beautiful. In my opinion, one of the best. Coming in at number 2 on this list, I have Creed's Green Irish Tweed. So before Aventus took over, for over 20 years, Green Irish Tweed was the go-to Creed fragrance that the house was known for. Top notes, lemon verbena and iris. In that middle, we've got violet leaf. In the base, we've got ambergris and sandalwood. Now, if you were to ask any fragrance collector, what are the top 5 fragrances of all time, this is probably going to be in that list. Why? Because it's that good, because it's that iconic, because it's that timeless. This is a masculine, rich, classy perfume that when it came out in 1985 was an instant classic. Of all the Creed fragrances I've talked about today, this one is probably the safest blind buy. Very rarely do you find anybody that doesn't like this fragrance. This right here is just such a classy scent. There's a reason that this thing has stood up to the test of time. Seriously, if you need more validation, this apparently was the signature scent of Pierce Brosnan and Clint Eastwood. Longevity is solid. 3 sprays on the chest. I'm getting 8+ hours out of this. Projection, 2 feet initially, then it quickly goes down to 1 foot, but it stays about there for the next 6 hours. Again, a beautiful fragrance, highly recommended. Could have easily been my number 1, but it wasn't. What is my number 1 Creed fragrance? Drum roll, please. Yes, here we go. Number 1 on my list. What do you guys think it is? Now, before I announce number 1, I want to give a quick shout out to Bois de Portugal. I've sampled that fragrance in the store. I enjoy it, but I didn't feel good about putting it on this list because I don't own a bottle and I've only worn it once. That being said, it's an amazing fragrance. I know it's one that a lot of people have high on their top 10 of Creed lists, but for me, it's just something I couldn't. Maybe I'll put it in a future one once I get a bottle. Without further ado, gents, the number 1 Creed on my list, Erolfa. All right, Jen, so I have to admit, one of the reasons I love this fragrance is the awesome story behind the name. So apparently the perfumer and owner of Creed, Olivier Creed, he named this after his family. The ER stands for his son, Erwin. The OL stands for his daughter, Olivia. And the FA stands for his wife and the mother of his 2 children, Fabian. Now the smell is supposed to evoke feelings of actually being on a yacht, sailing the Mediterranean, and eating melons. Something I've never done, but when I smell this, I feel like I'm there doing it. Now, the top notes of this fragrance are bergamot, lime, melon, lemon, violet, and caraway. The middle notes are pine, ginger, jasmine, pepper, cyclamen, and nutmeg. Base notes, ambergris, musk, sandalwood, oak moss, and cedar. As you can tell by the notes, it sounds like a very complex fragrance, but they've blended it together masterfully. It's just beautiful. In my opinion, one of the most perfect fragrances out there. In fact, last summer, this was my go-to scent, and I probably wore this like 20 or 30 times and just loved it every time I put this on. Just a beautiful fragrance that is one of my personal favorites. If I have to think of my own personal memories that this reminds me of, it was back in the Marine Corps. When we were sailing, I remember going up on the flight deck, and yes, not when the planes are going in the fumes, actually there at the front of the boat when you can just smell that ocean, the Pacific. It was, yeah, just beautiful. And this is what reminds me of that. All right, gents, agree, disagree? Okay, I know tons of you guys are going to disagree with my rankings, so I want to hear, what are your top 5? How would you have done this differently? Where did I mess up? Guys, I want to hear from you down below in the comments. All right, gents, so what video to watch next? Well, if you're into high-end fragrances, you're probably into high-end watches. Like Rolexes, check out this video right here, my ultimate guide to Rolex watches. There's quite a few types. There's quite a few things that you need to know if you're considering picking up a really nice watch. It's one of my better videos on ultimate guides, and yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. So check it out. Boom, right here. Come on. Tired of holding this thing up? Yeah, go check it out. All right, guys, see you later.